Hello folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Dubai. Today we are back in the beautiful 777-300 extended range. Today in the Emirates colors, also the very first time I'm having an Emirates aircraft on my channel. And yeah, today we are on a pretty cool flight since we are going to check out the newly released ORBX Brisbane version 2 scenery. And we are going to do so with a pretty serious long haul. Flight time today is going to be 13 hours and 45 minutes, just to give you a rough idea of what we are facing here. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to get down to Brisbane in many hours from now. Departure time here in Dubai will be of course during the night. Now it's like 2 o'clock night time here in Dubai, which is sort of the very busy time of the airport. And yeah, then we will face sunrise and also sunset during the cruise, and then get to Brisbane in the evening hours, sort of 10 p.m. local time. So we are going to check out the scenery at night, which should be quite nice considering that all the new airports have a pretty good night environment as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to this one. I can see that catering is completed. Let me quickly ask for boarding so that GSX can continue. And well, I think that's all for the introduction. We will head into the flight deck and then set up the flight. Alright, so here we are. It is now 22:14 Zulu, which means takeoff time or scheduled departure time is in 16 minutes from now, and it should work out easily. I have loaded in the route already. Today I was hoping we could go out on the 30s and then do the big left-hand turn over Dubai, but unfortunately winds are coming from the south. So yeah, we will be departing 12 right, and the departure route is going to be the NV5G, like that. And that's pretty straightforward, really just departing straight out. We have a constraint of 220 knots at this waypoint over here, and then after this we are all clear to climb out. Right, then over to the performance. We can accept this 0 fuel weight. Yeah, it's coming in a second. 206.3. We are not quite maxed out in terms of 0 fuel weight. We could carry 30 tons more of payload. I think these flights down to Australia are not really fully booked. I think the entrance procedures are quite strict at the moment. But we are carrying a bit of cargo though, since there's most likely some cargo on these flights as well. And yeah, by the way, takeoff weight gonna be roughly 336 tons, and that's in fact quite close to max takeoff weight, only 15 tons shy. So it's gonna be a very heavy departure. Cost index will be 37,290. That's fine for the beginning. And reserves alternate will be Sydney, so reserves will be 11.1 even. That's quite high. Right, then over to the legs page, route data, wind. And let's see, now it's 21 upon arrival. 18.7, coming down a little bit, and that's even high for a 747. So that's super high, but considering that alternate Sydney is 1 hour and 17 minutes away, it is kind of appropriate. Right, and yeah, so we have done the departure, we have done the winds. Now all is left is the performance, and for that we will of course head over to the EFB. Initialize the flight performance, copy data. Conditions are dry, and let's get the weather. So we have winds between 180 and 240. Here it's at 210, so let's go 210 at 324 degrees, 1011, that's correct. And 336.4, that's also correct. I kind of want to try something today. And this is to shorten the takeoff distance, and recently on the FlyTampa channel I saw a way to do it. So if we go to no temps, and yeah, we will try to get the Kilo 2 intersection on 212 right, and that's almost at the end, but not quite at the end, so it's just going to be a very short way we are losing there. And doing the math, we are losing 190 meters. So if we enter this here and hit complete, and then we are at the takeoff calculations again, and now hopefully it is calculating for the shortening of the runway. So let's see if that works. Flap optimum aircon will be PEX auto, and engine wing anti-ice also auto. Let's see what we get. It's a super long runway, of course, so let's select temperature 43 and a flap 5 today. Okay, so 43, and that's giving us 98.2. Over here it's 97.9, that's close enough. And then a flap 5. And speeds of 178, 87, 90. Wow, these speeds are seriously high. I don't think I've ever had such a high rotating speed. That's crazy. So this goes to 190. And then initial runway heading is 119. Like that. And departure clearance is 4,000 initially. Like that. Flight directors, LNAV, VNAV, cool. Right, maybe we can get the airport map over here and see. Yeah, so here's the terminal, and then we are not going to the far end, but we take this entrance here, so it's pretty close nevertheless. Right, now what's GSX doing? Oh, containers are just coming in. Okay, so I will wait for GSX to finish their job, and then we should be good to go. Alright guys, GSX is now finally completed with the loading. And while we have been sitting here waiting for GSX, the active runways have been switched around. So now we are actually departing out of 30 right, and it's going to be a beautiful departure over Dubai. But also I did have to change all the calculations, of course. I will show you in just a second. Now first of all, let's prepare for our pushback. And yeah, once the jetways are gone, we can also ask for the actual pushback. Okay, now they need to wait. Yeah, now going out of 30 right, and we are even using a bit more power now, so 100% N1 will be our target power, 39 degrees flex temperature, and you can see it here on the navigation display. We are departing, and then nice big left-hand turn out. We will have a look at the departure chart during our taxi. It's also quite interesting. And now pushback, please. Okay, parking brake is set, APU is running, ground connections, remove everything. And so here we are. I have now finally figured out how to properly switch on the hydraulics. So first it's the right one. And yeah, now it's extinguished. Now it's the center electrics. And then it will be the left one, and then the center ones. Yeah, I think we don't need to wait for the light to extinguish now. Okay, so those go on, and center tank pumps, of course, as well. Beacons come on. And the before start checklist: flight deck door is closed and locked. table good to the right now. MCP is done. Speed is still 190 takeoff speeds. We have 176, 188, 190. CO preflight is completed. Trim is rear at 0 units. Taxi and takeoff briefing will follow in a second. Beacons are on. Like that. And lock time. This goes off. Yeah, so I've still calculated for a little bit of shorting. We are trying to aim for the Mike 14 Alpha intersection onto the runway. Let's see if we can find that in a second. And now a quick look at the departure chart. First we climb out straight ahead, minimum 180. Then another left-hand turn. And then there's a couple of altitude and speed constraints. And you can see minimum 190, max 220. So I think once the aircraft is speeding up after departure, I will sort of manually dial it to 220. Otherwise, I think it might want to stick to the 190. But let's see how it works. And then after the 220 constraint, we will dial up to 230 and so on. That's how we will do it. Okay, I believe we're cleared to fire up the beautiful GEs. Alright guys, that was like the most messed up GSX pushback I have ever seen. Took like a full 10 minutes and now we are even facing the wrong way. No idea what they've been doing there.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
But that was really weird. So yeah, we need to swing it around ourselves in just a second. But never mind, engines are running, so we can kill the APU. And then the trim needs to be 6.0, so we need to trim it up a bit. Like that. And then down here, this can all stay as it is for now. Flaps go to position 5. And this goes to RTO. Okay, flight control check. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and the rudder, full left and full right. That's done. And before taxi checklist, NTIs don't need that to recall. TCAS, and that's fine. Flight controls are checked, ground equipment is clear. Before takeoff checklist, flaps are set. And that's completed. Okay, now turn-offs and taxi lights. And yeah, the dome light. Let's see if that's enough light for us right now, but I think it will work. Cool, and yeah, back to the airport map if we can find it. So we first of all, we need to swing it around and then we will see where we want to go. Righty. Let's see how much power we need today. Maybe a bit more light will do. Oh, come on. Oh, I keep getting the wrong one. There we are. Okay, yeah, let's just swing it around. There are various taxi lines over here, so we should be fine. Okay, let's see. This is Kilo, and we want to take Kilo 11. That should come up a bit further down. Okay, so that's 7 and 8. Yeah, and we are taking Kilo 11 to the left. Also, I was just remembering I hadn't switched around the heading, but now it's aligned with the runway heading again. Alright, so that's Kilo 11 coming up. And I think it's really hard to see, but I do believe the runway is clear. And then after crossing this runway, we can also go straight on to our runway, I believe. Stropes. Let's get across quickly.
Approaching 30 left.
Okay, and then VORs, traffic, weather, and over here VORs, traffic and terrain, and transponder, of course. For takeoff checklist already completed. Okay, so now that's mic 13. Okay, it seems like it's a little bit different from the charts, not the most up-to-date rendition of the airport, but I think now we even have more runway available than we used for our calculations, so we should definitely be fine.
Right.
Okay, and landing lights, of course, and also the wing lights, and then we are very bright. Alright, we are ready to rock and roll. So starting the timer, checklists are completed, lights are set, and now I'm very much looking forward to hear the full power GE engines. Okay, around 50%, power established, and toga. Beautiful stuff. Let's see how much of the runway we actually need to get off the ground. Will be quite a bit, I assume. Speeds are crazy. Rotate.
V2.
And we are airborne. Gears coming up. That's crazy. I think we've almost used the 4-kilometer runway there. I think it's even a tiny bit longer than 4 kilometers. That's simply insane. And okay, so we have first constraint is minimum 180 knots. We are above 180 knots, so that's very good. And then we are bound to max 220 for a bit now. So I will dial this to 220 and then put the autopilot on. and that should do the job, but we will need to keep the flaps out for a bit. And unfortunately now visibility is not too great, it's a bit hazy. What a pity, that would have been a beautiful view on the skyline. Okay, let's keep climbing. So we're just seeing the outline of the Bush Dubai down there, but it's really hard to see at night. Right, okay, yeah, speed constraint is still relevant for the next waypoint. After that we can dial it to 230 and then we can also retract the flaps a little bit, but this is really too close to the flap 5 in order to retract it, I think. That's some islands down there. That's probably the world, which to my knowledge has never been finished. Now it's just a bunch of sandy islands serving no purpose whatsoever. I think they did a better job on the palms. Right, 230 now, and then flaps 1. Okay, wow. Okay, so it was still way too early to retract the flaps. Sorry about that, guys. I thought once we are like sitting easily above the flap 5 bug, then we should be fine, but that was not the case, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think we can go manage speeds. Yeah, 250. Okay, now we are bound to 250, but yeah, hard to tell if in reality they would allow us to speed up more than that, because climbing out now we are at 8,000 feet, still having the flaps out. That's quite crazy. Now we get a nice view on the city. Let's go speed 260. And then I think we should be fine to retract the flaps. Okay, we are still pretty close to stall speed. That's just crazy. We are so heavy. Really hard to speed it up here. Landing lights, wing lights. But then after the next waypoint, our speed constraint is gone. And then we are good to speed up all the way. Okay, after takeoff checklist is completed. And now I'm just waiting for the next waypoint, and then we can go back to managed mode, and then we should speed up properly. Yeah, I've never had a departure like this, where we keep the flaps out so long. And now we can speed up. Okay. Alright guys, so now after this lengthy departure, I'm going to put you into music and cruise mode, and yeah, see you back in many hours from now, and then we will hopefully have a nice landing into Brisbane. Enjoy! So here we are guys, back in the flight deck after a crazy long cruise, 13 hours and 33 minutes right now. That's really quite insane, thinking about that we have basically crossed an entire day in cruise, and yeah, now finally we are getting close and also just about to pass 10,000, so let's pop the landing lights on and then also the logo lights. And yeah, as you can see on the radar, it is rainy down in Brisbane. Nothing crazy, just some light rain going on. And yeah, we will have a look at the weather in just a second. First of all, regarding the approach, we are going to land ILS runway 19 right, which is the new one in Brisbane. And to get there, we are flying the Smoker 9 Alpha arrival, and yeah, I think we just passed Garth, and now next up will be Burpa. Couple of altitude and speed restrictions in there, quite nicely to see on the chart. And then it will drop us at Osoko, and from Osoko it's just the final approach down to the runway. So yeah, looks like a pretty nice arrival route, just down on the ground. We will have a really long taxi, but since 19 right is the new runway, I thought it's appropriate to land there instead of the old one. But yeah, taxi will be quite a bit. Regarding the weather, last time I checked it was really not too bad. So we have wind 7 knots at 200, visibility of 5 kilometers, and light rain and showers, and then of course low-hanging clouds and various cloud levels. But yeah, that's just 19 degrees. So yeah, just a bit rainy weather, but nothing we really have to worry about a lot. And also the runway is long enough. I've set out brake 2. There are a couple of high-speed exits down the runway. I've already pulled up the airport map over here. So if we can take maybe even the last high-speed exit or this one, preferably, that's still alright. So braking should not really be an issue today. Yeah, here on the outside there's really not much to see, but we can sort of see that we are already flying into the clouds. some terrain down there, and yeah, pretty dark, although the moon is up somewhere over there. There it is. But the cruise itself was pretty smooth actually, and it's quite funny as well, because at some point, like after 8 hours or 9 hours of flight, we got to the Australian coastline, and it always triggers the feeling that we have almost made it, almost there, but then it's still like 5 hours to go to cross the Australian continent. It's simply a huge place. It's somewhat similar to the US, like flying across from the east to the west coast, something like that. And okay, now it's also getting a bit shaky, but we have the seatbelt signs on already, so that's good. And I'm just thinking, since here on the legs page, you can see at Pambu it's still 240. For some reason it wouldn't let me dial it down to 230. So, but we have 230 max on the charts, so I think I'm manually gonna take away these 10 knots. Okay, and that's quite shaky now. Interesting. I wish we could see something down there, but it's really super dark. I mean, of course, now I believe we are in the clouds, almost inside the clouds. And now we are even getting a bit fast, but we are also below the profile. So the aircraft should have enough margin to correct it automatically. Let's see what it does. Yeah, the good thing is at tracks, which is down here, we are going to be at 3,000 feet already, and then we're gonna hold this altitude until we get to the glide slope, which is always kind of convenient to level out before getting onto the glide slope. Always gives us a bit of a margin of error in terms of the descent profile. Regarding the checklist, altimeters are set to local 1021 already, so this can go away. Next up will be the landing checklist. Okay, and that's some clouds. Yeah, we're still a bit fast, but since we will anyway level out at 3,000, I think we don't need the speed brakes just now. Let's arm those already. Right, and go around is also fairly simple. We climb to 4,000 feet, a bit of a right-hand turn, and then we just vector ourselves around. Okay, that's the 230 knots, perfect. And yeah, 3,000 feet, we are also pretty much on the profile there. And let's see, now we are 16 miles out. Now we're getting into this right-hand turn. Yeah, maybe we should go flaps 1 now. I think that's a good time. And then let's also put on the wing lights, and then we can see the flaps coming out. Beautiful. Yeah, the engine shake looks a bit weird. Somehow they've managed to do it better in the 747. Okay, approach mode, and now let's slow down 185, which is also a speed constraint coming up for Osoko. And then final approach speed will be 146. Yeah, now we're not too heavy, of course, after burning all this fuel. Now we are fairly light 777, I believe. Okay, flaps 5. And still quite shaky. I wonder if it's gonna stop before we get down to the ground. Okay, so we are established on the localizer. Glide slope is slowly coming in. We are now 13 miles out. Arrival is going pretty well. Just nothing to see out there. Okay, and it should be the glide slope any second now. There it is, and then let's slow down to 170 and go flaps 15. And now if the aircraft is struggling to slow down, then we can of course drop the gear. That's a pretty crazy crosswind just now, 18 knots, but it's supposed to decrease once we get down there. Okay, 7 miles, let's drop the gear. We need to slow down. And then speed 146. And turn-offs and taxi lights, and now we have all the lights on. Okay, keep the flaps coming. Now we do need all the track we can find. Yeah, but it's going to work out. 5 miles to go. That's okay. Flaps 30, and the landing checklist completed. Cool, and now it seems like we are through the turbulence. Perfect. All looking pretty stable right now. Now we're just waiting for the runway lights to appear, and then we can take the aircraft. Yeah, it's not quite the conditions for an auto land. Visibility is too good for that. There we have the lights already coming into sight. Okay, runway in sight, my aircraft. I think AI traffic should not really be an issue today, since they are somehow still unaware of the new runway of the airport. Of course, I was hoping for some better views on the airport. Checking out the new scenery with weather like this is not really ideal, but hey, can't change the weather, can we? Okay, we can ignore this as well. Continue. And yeah, a bit of a long landing. Touchdown. And reverse. And decelerating 70 knots, 60 knots, idle forward, and manual braking. Cool, so here we are. That's a high speed exit. Let's take this one, whichever one this is. We will check in a second. Right, and that wasn't too bad considering the weather. I think touchdown was fairly okay. Bit of a early flare there, and then we floated it a bit, but still within the limits. Okay, it's actually the last high-speed exit, so we do have to track back a little bit. And low slides and strobes. Okay, left-hand turn, and then yeah, we will set up GSX, and then as already mentioned, it's a really long taxi, so I will make a shortcut there in the video, I guess. Right, everything off. And yeah, I think we still have the transponder on. I will put it off after this turn. Okay, flight time 13 hours 48. Crazy stuff. I think that's, yeah, it's probably one of the longest I've ever done, maybe the longest. I'm not quite sure of that, but would be fun to double check nevertheless. Okay, this goes off, and yeah, APU we can wait another second. All looking good over here. Okay, so parking position will be on the international gates, of course, and it's really far away. Should be 80 something. 83, I think it was. Yeah, no idea. Alrighty, so taxi will go as follows. We're traveling down here, take the second one to the right, then take this one closer to the terminal all the way down here, and then I think the international gates are down here. So it's a pretty long taxi. And yeah, I will see you guys in a bit. Alright guys, now we're getting pretty close. Just a right hand turn left, and then the gate should be straight ahead. In the meantime, I've shut down the engine number 2. I think it makes a lot of sense on these very long taxis. Saving a few drops of fuel is always a good idea. And yeah, sorry about not showing you really a lot of the airport. It really sucks with this kind of weather. But I mean, looking around, it looks quite decent. If you know, or if you happen to know the old Brisbane scenery, this is of course up to an entirely new level. Previously the textures were all horrible, but this one seems to work, or seems to look quite nice, all the ground textures around. And yeah, the dynamic lighting, I don't know, it appears to be very bright. Of course, I don't know if that is maybe the real color of the airport lighting, no idea. But it appears to be a bit bright, in my opinion. And yeah, let's focus on the parking now, turning off the lights. Okay, yeah. And yeah, looking over to the right hand side, yeah, there we can see it. Another Emirates 777. Probably the same flight number as ours. Okay, let's see. 80 feet looks quite promising up to this point. Let's try to take this parking and then see if that's accurate in any way, although we are now getting quite close to the sky. Yeah, maybe let's leave it here. We are slightly ahead of the line, but another 26 feet and I think we might kick this guy off his ladder. Alright, so here we are finally. Now parking brake, APU's running, this goes off, and now we have a clock time of 14 hours and 19 minutes. Wow, that's a crazy day of work for a pilot, I believe. And yeah, fuel pumps and beacons and seat belts. And now what's the procedure again? I think it's those demand pumps. And then it's the left one, then it's the center electric ones, and then finally the right one, like that. And now right, let's ask for deboarding. Let's take entry number 2. I think that makes more sense. And ground connections, wheel chocks, ground power. Cool. And the shutdown checklist, of course. Parking brake is set, and that's fine. Shutdown checklist completed. Alright guys, and welcome once again to Brisbane International Airport, the ORBX version 2 of the airport. And yeah, now this looks all pretty decent to me. Of course, yeah, I think at some point in time we will have another probably domestic flight in and out of Brisbane, and then we can check out the other terminal area as well. But comparing this one to the old scenery, of course, that's a huge difference, and this looks way better. And yeah, performance is also quite okay. It's a little bit laggy now, but that always happens when we're running the sim for a very long time, so I'm not really blaming this on the airport right now. Right, and up next on the channel will probably be a flight into Cologne. I have posted a small poll on the community tab of my YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it yet, feel free to go ahead and have a look. I will from time to time do a few polls on and let you guys decide what kind of flights to do next. And based on the current standings of the vote, next up will be Cologne. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this 777 very long haul flight. Beautiful aircraft it is, really. I can't get enough of the 777 at this point in time. But okay, that's really laggy now, but never mind. Right guys, take care of yourselves and have some good days ahead, and see you next time. Bye bye.